Devi Lalita Narayani Kumuda Prachanda Vishva Kama Kama Charini Om Aim Hrim Shrim Klim Krim Devim Mahadevi Namo Om Aim Hrim Shrim Klim Krim Devim Mahadevi Namo Behold the many aspects of the Divine Mother, she who is the detached witness of time and its events, the large-eyed, all-seeing one, who is the beloved essence of supreme reality, and who satisfies all the gods and grants fulfillment on earth, who is ever stationary yet who moves at will, whose fierce and fiery nature is legend. Nama Om.
Om Sahana. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvi Navaditamastu Ma Vidveshovahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May Brahman, the reality, protect us. May Brahman sustain us. May Brahman illumine our thinking process. May we not find fault with each other, with the teachings, with the world. And may what we study be a source of inspiration to us eternally. Om peace, peace, peace. May peace be unto us, may peace be unto all. Om Hari Om. The second half of our class is now underway. This is the fourth class in the 5-class series of food, prana, and sadhana. Sadhana, prana is actually a Sanskrit word too, but you know that now means is energy, like man does not live by bread alone kind of energy. And we know that it's in our food, it's in nature, but it's also an internal prana called psychic prana that's conducting our inner affairs. In fact, we know that the 5 pranas, or the 5 forms of prana, digest our food and carry nutrients in the blood and cause the heart to beat, and also the lungs to, these 2 pair of bellows here that you have to go in and out. That's actually become known as pranayama when you practice breathing exercise with your lungs. So we know that there are some internal movements in our body that are going on, but we don't want to fall into the problem of studying the internal of the external, like science is doing with particles, you see, and taking them apart, and we think they're getting to the inside of the mysteries of the universe, but they're just taking apart the internal, they're viewing the internal of the most external thing, which is an object or physical matter. But we want to go to the internal of the internal. And that's going to require that we uncover prana and study it. That's what Vivekananda said. There are 2 things missing here in the West immediately and obviously when he came here in 1900s, 1893, early 1900s. He made 2 visits. And he said, what's obviously missing there is knowledge of prana, life force, and the knowledge of the tanmatras. That you have 5 subtle elements inside of you, and 5 subtle senses also inside of you. So we know about the external 5 and the senses and the external 5 elements, air, earth, fire, water, ether, but we're not really sure about the existence of the 5 internal elements, that we also have air, earth, fire, water, and ether in a dream, in an interior state, or in our meditation. So we can contemplate air, earth, fire, water, and ether, can't we? We can envision it. And so in a dream it's there, but also when we shut down our senses and mind in meditation, then we can see that there are internal elements and internal senses. We actually have to learn to control those and transcend those too. It would be going beyond your dream state or beyond concentration into formless meditation. And that's why people are trying to jump from the 5 elements and the 5 senses to non-duality. So as they do, they bypass the 5 subtle elements and the 5 subtle senses. They just try and, as it were, move around them. So they're not accounting for them, number 1, and they're not moving through them consciously, number 2. And like I said, the 24 cosmic principles, that's why we study those, is so that we can know about them as we move through them. The consciousness visits them. Otherwise, you may have a hellish experience on earth and then a very great meditation, but nothing to connect it to, you see. You don't know anything of the inner states that you pass through to get to that powerful meditation. And now you have to come back out, and you don't know anything about the inner states that connected that to your life on earth, in which you're suffering, or striving, or completely unawares, whatever the case may be, person to person, soul to soul. So the kingdoms of heaven within are unknown to you. And the chambers of the Father's mansion, unknown to you. So you just know about that and that. And mostly you just know about that, the external. If you have some divine vision, comes out of nowhere, or you start to practice meditation and you have a non-dual experience, which is here, you've jumped from the lowest to the highest, and you know nothing about the chakras in between, and how prana connects it all, how psychic prana connects it all, and how Shakti connects it all, which is what we're moving towards in this chart. So becoming aware of awareness has many facets. Becoming conscious of consciousness has many aspects. And you want to be the master of them all. We salute those 3 great beings who are masters of life, remover of the miseries of the devotees, is what we chant in the puja, you see. So that Trinity within, where we salute those 3 great beings. So this gets us on the track again of where we left off with this chart, which we managed to finish. And I wanted to take you and show you parts of another chart, which will probably extend also into next week's class. But it's this chart that is based upon Holy Mother's words. And she says there at the top, you see, I have done much more than necessary to make my life a model. Ah, the ecstasy of those days. On moonlit nights I would look up at the moon and pray with folded hands, O Lord, may my heart be as pure as the rays of yonder moon. Unquote. Or, quote, Lord, there is a stain even in the moon, but let there not be the least trace of stain in my mind. There's some of the few things that she mentioned about her own sadhana period when she was there with Sri Ramakrishna when he was alive. The early sadhana, she said, oh, the wonder of those days, see, the ecstasy of those days when she was having these profound spiritual experiences come to her through her pure mind, and even praying for it to be more and more pure. See, so this takes us more towards this level of Shakti, because of course Sri Sharda is the best exemplar overall in this age, if not in any age, of feminine divinity, of Divine Mother manifestation or incarnation. That's why they call her the Holy Mother. And that's why she came with the Kali avatar, because she is that manifestation of Mother Kali, which we look to as Divine Mother of the universe, or the primordial goddess in this day and age. So this first quote by her is illustrated here by this dark night. She's there, lit up by the moon, and she's looking towards yonder moon. It might as well be symbolic of pure mind. Now, in accordance with this chart that we remember, we have just come to a place where after we have purified and controlled and raised the prana, now we know that prana is not erratic anymore. It's not vibrating like ragged edges, you see, but it's been focused and honed down, just like you would do so to a laser beam, see. first scattered, and then you focus it into one pure beam, or they say sometimes Tailadarjan. Your consciousness has become like pouring oil from one beaker to another in a perfect stream. No splashing, a perfect form, you see. Not like trying to pour water or something that might splash. So they call that the mind's concentration on Brahman, see, with no erratic edges, you see, no rough edges whatsoever, just a perfect flow. So that's what we're trying to do here when we purify the prana and raise it, because our prana can be erratic, our breathing can be uneven, and that causes erratic breath. So we want to even out our breath and make that a conscious habit, and then pretty soon get into a kumbhaka state where we don't have to breathe, because in deep sleep tonight you will stop breathing for long periods of time. And by the way, when you do that, your memory cells don't die. See, like your brain cells don't die. And you're going into a natural, suspended animation state where you're not breathing. They call it kumbhaka. They've concentrated on it, they've focused on it, that is the yogis. And now they know that it happens between each out-breath and each in-breath. There's a kumbhaka, or a state of suspended breath. So kumbhaka's also been come to be known as a kind of samadhi too. Kumbhaka is a very high state of awareness, and when yogis and illumined souls go into it, they stop breathing. And we have that on record that Sri Ramakrishna would stop breathing at night. He would go into samadhi, and Holy Mother would notice it, and she would wake up the whole temple compound thinking her husband had passed out of the body. Well, he had, but not in death. He had done it consciously. And then one of the devotees would come and say the mantra into Sri Ramakrishna's ears, and then pretty soon he would return to normal consciousness and come out. So this wasn't just like regular sleep, but you could shake him on the shoulder and say, "Wake up, master." He had gone into a samadhi, a kumbhaka state, and his breathing had stopped for a long time. And maybe his body had even, gotten cold. In this case, he wasn't meditating like he was in the daytime. He was laying flat in bed at night. And so he would go into this kumbhaka state. So this is fairly well known to the yogis, and it's a natural state where you'll stop breathing, kumbhaka. So this is a kind of a sign then of prana that's been controlled. So that's the middle one here, right? Purify it first, then control it. And once it's controlled, then you're able to abandon the body, abandon the breath, and abandon pretty soon your thoughts. And those are the three things basically that are in the way of your higher meditation. Thoughts being very difficult to get over. You see a lot of hatha yogis, they have pretty good posture and they have good breathing and so forth, but very difficult. You'd have to go into the more realized souls, the Jnana yogis and people like that, to find these beings who have mastered their mind so that their thoughts are perfectly under their control and not impeding them anymore. And they could even transcend the realm of thought. Get into a formless state is what we mean by that, because form begins with thought. Thought is father to the deed, so even action begins with thought, doesn't it? So there again we have the idea of where I started off the class today, mind-only schools. If mind vibrates, these worlds appear. If mind stops vibrating, they might as well not be here, you see. You've gone into deep sleep or into samadhi or to death, and they cease to exist for you. Whether they exist for others or not, how do you know? Because they've disappeared for you, and it's your consciousness now. So you've gone into this very high state. So in that way, speaking about the prana here is a very important connection to make, and heading towards this holy company, which you would find in the case of Sri Sharada Devi, who had thousands of disciples when she was living. Sri Ramakrishna passed early and passed on. She became the mother of the Ramakrishna order, which wasn't just swamis at the time, but also began to accrue many, many devotees over time. She lived, into the 1920s, I think, maybe even 30s, 20s only, and then some of the swamis outlived her. A couple of them lived into, I think the last swami passed in 38 or 39. So Swami Shivananda lived quite late. He still had some devotees alive in the body, as Holy Mother did, somewhat recently. So, precious gift of Holy Mother is what we're calling here sadhana for purification. This is the third aspect of our class: food, prana, and sadhana, right? So in the fourth class here we begin to bridge the subject, and it really takes it up here. We have to keep these two charts kind of in mind at the same time. We've come to frequent holy company, select a guru, and secure a mantra. That's going to be sort of the main practice of Vedanta and Hinduism today. And there's some hatha yoga going on, that doesn't go very far. Some breathing exercises going on, that doesn't take very deep either. But when you frequent holy company, find your path and find your teacher and get a mantra, then you know that you're at a very deep level of your spiritual commitment. They even sing about that in terms of holy company. Sadhu Sangha Name Ache Panchodam Santo Holy Tata Korisho Vishram Pata Branta Hole Shuddhaiye Pat Shepanto Nivashi Jane Mono Chalo Nija Niketane. One of the beautiful verses out of this song that Vivekananda sang when he was just a teenager to Sri Ramakrishna. He came into the company of Sri Ramakrishna. "Oh, I hear you have a very good voice, young man. They say you sing and play very well. Sing me something." And this is what Vivekananda, then known as Narendranath, sang for Sri Ramakrishna, the first song he ever introduced to him. And it says basically this verse: there is a roadside inn known as holy company. So you're going along your path of life. The first two verses are talking about, why have you become so alienated to your true self? You're wandering around all the worlds. You don't know where you belong. The five senses don't belong to you. The five elements are not yours. It goes on singing like that, and it says, but there is a wayside inn known as holy company. Take refuge there if you are weary and tired, if you're confused. And if you're confused about the way home, ask help of the holy ones who live there. If you get frightened along the way, call on the king of the land. You see, the king has great power over that path. Even the Lord of Death is afraid of him. Beautiful how it goes on. And of course, Narendranath was singing this to Sri Ramakrishna, who had already heard it, and probably sent him into samadhi, hearing this beautiful song sung by this young man. So this has to do with this frequenting holy company. Is if you're a conscious soul and you get into the body, and the minute you wake up to your condition here, if you're a conscious soul, that will be the first thing you look for, is your guru, initiation by a guru. The first thing you look for. If you're an illumined soul and you get into the body, that's the first thing you look for. Because when you're in the body, you're in Maya, the realm of name and form, time and space, cause and effect, you see. You may be free of karma, you may be transcendent of your name and form, nonetheless, you're in the realm of the dangers of Maya. So you immediately get reinitiated, just like you've done for many lifetimes. You find a path, a teacher, he tells you about the path, the Wayside Inn and the Holy Company, the inn there, you see, and then he gives you the mantra, and you find the king of the land as your own self, you see, and you take refuge there and you consult yourself all the time. So this is a conscious life, spiritually lived. A dharmic life, a divine life, or eternal life, as Christ called it. You might say there's a few little distinctions there. A dharmic life is taking up the teachings, which we're not talking about morality. We're talking about dharma, which is what I've been talking about the last 2 hours here. And also over the last 3 classes that we've had, also for the last 30 years of SRV life. What we've been talking about to the Western world is Dharma. I am now speaking to the Westerners about the Dharma. You see. So that's very important, and you can begin to live a dharmic life, but you're going to want to convert that into divine life. And that divine life will show you the way to eternal life. That means no more death for you anymore. Even the thought of death is gone. What did we just sing? The king has great power over that path. Even Yama, the lord of death, is afraid of him. So you want that knowledge of your true nature. Now, this all in conjunction with these 3, frequent holy company, select a guru, and secure a mantra, and sadhana, which this chart is now initiating for us. Precious gift of Holy Mother is what then? How to do sadhana to perfect yourself, to purify and perfect yourself, and yes, protect yourself. Freudian slip there. So basically, when Holy Mother, Divine Mother comes to earth, which is very rare, that is in the form of a woman, a fully illumined soul. In the old days, you had beings like Gargi and Maitreya and others who were wives of rishis who were every bit as much illumined as they were. So you were used to that, you see. Manifestations of the goddess Saraswati, manifestations of the goddess Lakshmi, manifestations of Parvati, and manifestations of Kali and Durga, like she is. Probably more so. So this is a very rare time, so it's interesting to find out when she comes, what she teaches. She's putting the emphasis pretty much on sadhana. That is, looks at the moon at night and says, may my mind be that pure. If there's any stain in the moon, don't let it be in my mind. So I'm going to remove every possible stain of relativity, of karma, of mental impression, of conditioning in the mind, and render it absolutely pure. Manaha prana sambandha. Make the connections between energy, psychic energy, and Shakti. You see what I'm saying here? This is this 4th pillar now, in order for you to get a noble mind, a luminous mind, and live an eternal life. Let's see some of the things she says there. I put it in terms of 4 great things Holy Mother taught to us. There are more, of course, but these are 4. Worship of the great master. She came with him. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa is extremely important to this day and time. And this is the authentic luminary. His harbinger, his John the Baptist, was Swami Vivekananda. He came and spread that message here, even to us. Jumped the ocean, like Hanuman did, to rescue Sita. In that same way, you can see Vivekananda is rather our Hanuman, and we're the Sita in danger. We've been taken away by who? Ravana. What's Ravana? Materialism. See, the evils of materialism. So Vivekananda jumped the ocean as Hanuman. He's here on the western shores. He came here. I hope you all realize you're sitting here in Hawaii. Ramakrishna came here too, to Hawaii. Did you know how he came here to Hawaii? Swami Abhedananda came to Oahu in the 30s and visited Hawaii. I found this out from an old Vedanta teacher named Mr. Morosi, who ran the Vedanta Center, sub-center in Hawaii, in Honolulu, when we went there in our 30s and 40s and helped him. So he was talking about how Vedanta came through on a ship and stopped in Honolulu. So we know that Ramakrishna covered a lot of bases with those 16 disciples and some of those few that actually left India and came to the West. They got around and they've spread the Dharma, and you can read about it not only in history but in the beautiful books that were left behind. Vedanta particularly, great books on karma and reincarnation. Kind of his focus was quite a bit on that. So, worship of the Great Master, because these 16 direct disciples came, and Holy Mother came with him, and this is a path for the age. This is the avatar of Kali, for the Kali Yuga. And it's becoming more and more evident, and of course the teachings of the Ramakrishna order, as far as Dharma go, are just profuse. They're just profound and profuse. Never seen such a powerful explosion of Dharma in many different languages than we've seen from the Ramakrishna order since they came. And did interpretations and translations of the Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, the Brahma Sutras, the Ashtavakra Samhita, Avadhuta Gita, the Adhyatma Ramayana, and so many other classic works now in English for us in very pure form. They had pure minds, they had pure prana, their works are pure. So there you see why I put this as one of the major subtopics. Now let's go to the other one, Japa of the mantra. Holy Mother was called Japaharini. You see the name here? Japaharini, Sri Sharda Devi. This is what they called her because she did hundreds and thousands a day sometimes. You and I do what, 108? Times 1, times 2, times 3, times 4 as the moon waxes, and then reverse it as the moon wanes. You have 15 days of 108, so pretty soon you're doing 108 times 15 on the full moon, and then you reduce it. That's a practice you can do. She did practices and austerities in mantra, but here she is doing hundreds and thousands a day, see, for her many devotees that came to her. So she was called made perfect in japa, or perfected in japa. So they gave her that name, Japaharini. So this is important. Now, third thing, meditation on the Ishtam. Holy Mother didn't speak a lot about non-duality. She just said, Ramakrishna was a non-dualist, therefore all of you are non-dualists. That's how one of the things she said about Advaita. So she was an Advaitist yet, yes, but she had a more practical view of people coming up through stages, like the Master did, although in his case he went into samadhi so often that he couldn't keep his mind, probably on more than 16. And a lot of people weren't coming to him in Calcutta early on. He was a secret. See? But by the time Holy Mother and Vivekananda had made his big impression in the West, then all of a sudden people were hearing about Holy Mother. They started to visit her at the Kali temple. She was very, very retired, very withdrawn. Once somebody went there at the gate and asked the guards, I've come to see Sri Ramakrishna's wife, Sri Sharda Devi, the Holy Mother. And the guards said, well, we know she's there in the temple compound, but we've never seen her. She's been there for years, but we've never seen her. So she would get up in the morning, leave before the guards were awake, go down to the river, do her bath, step crocodiles, come back, get into the little Nahabat across from Sri Ramakrishna's room where she stayed in the Kali temple, and just do hundreds and thousands of mantras each morning. She repetition of the mantra. This was her daily activity, and then she would take care of Ramakrishna's mother and do other things, help the devotees once in a while. But she was very seldom seen, especially in public eye. So this is why she spent so much time in in japa and so much time in meditation on the Ishtam. So these are two very important facets of her teaching. Now here is wisdom as compassion, which is one of the things they call it Jnanodaya yoga. It's a rather, not a, I wouldn't say a new form of yoga, but it's newly revealed. So newly revealed kind of yoga. That is wisdom as compassion. Not just the usual compassion where you say, oh, you poor thing, you're suffering, let me come and help you, and so forth. But wisdom as compassion. That is how to actually help the person rise out of that suffering. Not just help them temporarily, like say, here's some food, but then they get hungry again. Here's some water, then they get thirsty again. Here's some medicine, then they get disease again. What you want to do is tell them how to get up and out of the body, how to transcend hunger, thirst, and illness. That's compassion to her. See? So she used to say, for instance, what's all this fuss about the body? It's just a couple pounds of ash in the end. So this is her forward thinking, you see. She saw people pass away by droves in India. You see, people would give birth to 16 children, 20 children, a woman, in the village. 5 or 6 of them would pass away, and they'd cry because of the death of one of these children, although there were still 12 or 13 others there to take care of, you see. So she said, the misery and suffering of this world is getting into my very bones, into the very marrow of my bones. So she had an eye towards people's suffering, and she also knew how to transcend it. Didn't Buddha say there is suffering? First noble truth. Second noble truth, there is a cause for suffering. Was he going to just leave it that, oh, the world's a place of suffering, give it up? No, you should look into the cause of suffering. Then what do you find third? There's a way to transcend your suffering. And what is that way? Fourth, the Eightfold Noble Path. Ashtangika Marga, it's called. That consists of right perspective, right orientation, right livelihood, and so forth and so on. All laid out by Lord Buddha at a time when the Vedas and Upanishads were not being taught correctly. And that's why he came 550 years BC to bring the Four Noble Truths, and Praticca Samutpata, and the links, the 12 links, Nidana as they're called, of rebirth in 3 lifetimes. He was there on the scene giving this wisdom as compassion. So that's why we look to the exponents of the middle path. Sri Sharda Devi now, Lord Buddha then, and prior to him, Sri Krishna. These were people who taught the middle path. Not just people, these were fully enlightened souls who taught the middle way. So very important to bring this in, wisdom as compassion. We're not going to be satisfied just to see you get over your suffering for a little while. Come back in another lifetime. Or to get your thirst and hunger satisfied for a few days. Swami Vivekananda had that idea too. You don't just go and feed the hungry. They can't meditate, first of all, if they're hungry, so you're going to have to do something for them physically before they can have a spiritual life, to get out of suffering in the first place, right? They don't have the strength and capacity to get out of suffering. What to speak of ignorance? So you're going to have to do something for them physically. So what do? You go and you feed them. They get some strength. Then you give them some tools to garden, you see. Then they can take care of their own food, you see, and feed themselves. And then after that you go there with a globe of the world, he said. He wanted the Ramakrishna Order Swamis, the direct disciples, to go out of the Bellarmine with these world globes and go to the nearby villages and show them the world. He used to say, you're all frogs in the well. I've been to the West. There are many, many things about the world that are going to benefit you here in India if you learn about them, but you're all frogs in the well. So take a globe, a world, into the huts of the villages and show them the world, show them where they are on the map, show them what else exists. This was how he went about doing away with suffering, by stages. And eventually you can get them strong so they can live a spiritual life, and they can travel, and they can help others. Remove their own suffering first so they can help others. So all of this is very much in the form of wisdom as compassion. And really important yoga, Jnanodaya yoga, in the terms of being resurrected by Holy Mother. So in the time remaining here, which I think is substantial, let's look at worship of the great master. Now, sadhana, right? We've arrived at sadhana. We have a teacher, we have a mantra, and we have holy company to frequent. Sometimes holy company can be your own sangha. Oh, you've got a bunch of like-minded people around you, right? They act as a sort of defense against the world and its insinuations. So now you can feel protected and you can get perfected. So you want to do that. So you're cutting your teeth spiritually, you see. So remember these three. After the prana, three, there's this other triputi here that you want to get into so that you can awaken the psychic prana and have it move inward. You'll start to have visions. You'll start to have powerful dreams. You'll start to have good meditations. These are all signs of having your psychic prana healthy and moving inward. In case you have, if you're into signs. Well, I need some proof. It'll come. You just have to maintain, persevere. One of her favorite words, perseverance. Nothing can be accomplished by a 2 days practice, she said. You have to persevere. She'd give the mantra to somebody, Hindu man, come back 2 days later, it's not working. Sort of like kids in grade school. I can't do it. How long did you try? Oh, 5 minutes. So perseverance was one of her main things. She told the man, take the mantra and do it for weeks. Keep it up for months. Then after a year or so, if it's not working, then come back to me and I'll tell you what to do. But this is the precious gift, you see. Precious gift. There is nothing like the mantra that's that precious. So in the meantime, then, as you find your way to this movement of psychic prana that's going in, get yourself a shrine and an altar set up. See? And it's coming up to conduct worship, right? So when you turn this corner, you conduct worship. In Tantra it said you deify everything. Renunciation is not condemnation, it's deification. My teacher said that. It's one of his great quotes. Renunciation is not condemnation. That is, you're not giving up the world out of aversion or because it's unreal or because it's illusory. It is all that. But you want to not fall into a trap of aversion. You want to deify it. See? You must, another thing Swami Sheshanandaji Maharaj used to say is, don't just idealize the real, realize the ideal. See how it's just like Swamiji, like taking phrases like work as worship, labor as love. As he had found the language and he started putting it in terms that were very cutting edge. So there in the 70s and 80s when we were going to Swami Sheshanandaji Maharaj in our sadhana, to get ourselves purified, he would say things like that. Don't just idealize the real. That is, oh, the real's so great. We're so impressed down here, we can tell you. You see. Us way down here and you way up there. You see. You're so great. Don't just idealize the real. Realize the ideal. In other words, it's inside of you. It's not up there. You see. Or down below you. You see. You're it. It's the greatest game of cosmic tag ever played. You're it. So you realize this and you come to that kind of level of attainment. So get yourself a shrine and an altar if you want to deify things. Put up a place. If you're not into external worship, sanctify the area and sit near it. That's all you need to do. If you haven't learned how to do puja yet, offer flowers, wave incense, light candles. If that's not your thing, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you just create a sacred space somewhere in your house and you sit near it to meditate. If you're just into meditation and you're not into worship, you still need to have purity, don't you? Isn't purity been the whole thing all along? She liked perseverance. What other word she liked? Purity. 2 P's there, you see. So you'll never reach any level unless you purify along the way. Purify the body, then the senses, then the thought and mind, the prana, thought and mind. This is what we're talking about all along. Shuddha, purity in Sanskrit. So set yourself up a shrine and altar. Then get some candles, incense going to sanctify the place, to attract the divine presence. See? This is outer worship, but it's going to connect to inner worship, right? You want the outer to connect to the inner. So these are nadis, or channels of awareness you're opening up that are going to be very good for you. What else do you do there? Sing to the Lord. Attract the Lord with flowers and incense. Then when it comes, sing to him or her. Or it. You could sing a non-dual stotram if you want. Remember, you purify the mind. Remember what Shankar said? Om mano bujya hamkara chitani naham nacha shrotra jiyuve nacha grana netre nacha vyoma bhumir nateja navayu chidananda rupaha shivoham shivoham. Mano nabuja. I'm not the mind, I'm not the intellect. Nahamkara. I'm not the ego. Chittani naham. I'm not the thoughts. See? So not mind, not intellect, not ego, not thoughts. Antakarna, I'm not. Fourfold mind. See? That's how you purify the mind. By knowing you're not it. See? You can't get into the mind and dredge up all its contents as if you would like stir up a mud puddle with a stick. It's going to take forever for that sediment to settle. See? And then it's just settled, right? It gets stirred up again by the next cosmic cycle or by the next bad experience, you see. So transcend. You're not those things. Nacha vyoma, nateja no vayu. I'm not the air, I'm not ether, I'm not water. See? What am I then? Chidananda rupaha shivoham shivoham. Not a better word for it. Shivaham, aham, I am Shiva. Om. And make sure you end with his favorite bijam to please him. So my point here, please the Lord by singing. See, offer bhajan, offer stotram to the Lord. Doesn't matter if you can't see him or her or it, it's there because you've just deified it. You've deified the space, right? This will become practice for you later to deify the whole world and every being in it. You think when you die, the ancestors aren't going to stand in your way? And do you think they're going to let you pass unless you can say, I salute you, let me through? In fact, you can tell them, follow me, because that's what Buddha did. If you let me through the ranks of the ancestors, I'll show you a sunlit path to Sri Ramakrishna. And I'll take you and you and you and you and you and you because you were my father, my mother, my 2 brothers, and my sister in a past lifetime. That's how you save your ancestors. Can you do it if you don't have a sunlit path to show them? Can you do it if you don't have a mantra? Can you do it if you don't have an ishtam? See? Can you do it unless you have wisdom as compassion? See? So this is her precious gift. See? Do you know what you have yet? I could ask my students. Do you know what my teacher gave me in the form of the mantra that I passed on to you? Do you know how precious that is? See? Use it. See? And make this your mudra, you see, from now on, for the rest of your life and for your other lifetimes to come, if you have any. Make it your mudra. See? And this is how Swami Damodarananda came out of the river after he drowned himself 8 months ago. See, his hands were like this. He gave his whole body into the river. They saw it on camera at 3 a.m. or so. Walked, gave up his crutches, lowered himself into the river and floated away. And when they found his body later downriver, it was like this. Make this your mudra. See? Pass into death saying the mantra. So-called death. You see? You can thumb your nose at death later. First, master it. So here's how she says, deify everything. Pretty soon, where you sit will be deified. So your asana. That's my holy seat. See? The Devi herself has 5 holy seats. They're called Shiva, Vishnu, Brahma. You see, she has, in other words, these gods have become her seat. They act as chairs for her. She sits inside them, is what we mean. See? So find yourself your own holy seat, you see, and sit there. And make it holy by some external worship if you need to. Third one there is offer puja and arti there. So if you can sing, remember what we just sang? Om. Om ring ritam tvamachalo gunajit guneja naktam divan sakarnam, and so forth. Sing the great hymns that please them. This one written by Vivekananda for his teacher. So here's something about worshiping, you see. And she's about to say here, meditate on your ishtam. So naturally, since we're devotees of Sri Ramakrishna, and we see him with 5 million plus devotees nowadays, and we see what a beneficial effect he's having on humanity in a very short time, then we're going to stand up and champion our ishtam. See? If you're open, then come. See? Be with us. People are coming. Not in droves, but they're coming. In droves in India they're coming. But here in the West, we're trying to break down a very peculiar and very persnickety, difficult samskara, set of samskaras, if you will, in the mind of the Westerners in the Kali Yuga, which is based in things that are as unthought or unthinking as disbelief in reality. That is, or put it in the opposite way, belief in relativity only. There is no reality. Come on, be fair. Everything has a polar opposite. If you're going to come at me with relativity, then you better be prepared to talk about reality. See? That's its polar opposite. See? Constant change, that's relativity. The changeless Brahman, that's reality. See? Realize that inside yourself and be free. Because then everything will become reality. You won't have to worry about the vicissitudes and vagaries of Maya, which is constant change all the time. And your mind will be in changeless place. See? The mind that created all this, that projected it all, will be in a changeless place. You know, there's a consciousness that's here, and there's a consciousness inside that's viewing everything, witness. And then there's a consciousness that is transcendent beyond everything. The transcendent beyond has one view, perfection. The witness consciousness has its view, constant transmigration of souls from different worlds. It's the witness of all that. It's called the Trinity. The consciousness out here has one view, the changing Maya. You see, which one do you want? At least try on this witness consciousness and see how souls are going back and forth from birth to death, and death to birth, because they conquer all who conquer self. Right? This thirst for life forever quench, it drags from birth to death and death to birth to soul. They conquer all who conquer self. Know this and never yield. Never yield. Get strength. Get your prana under control. Find holy company. You're on the way to freedom already. See? We can welcome you with open arms. And along the way you might want to do some worship. There's Sri Ramakrishna's great saying right at the crown of her head. You see, pure mind is God. This purification is a very important facet of Holy Mother's teachings. And who is the great master but the Param Guru? See, remember what we sing to him all the time? Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Deva Maheshwara, Gurur Eva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. You are Brahma, Lord Brahma, the projector. You are Vishnu, the sustainer. You are Deva Maheshwara, Shiva, the destroyer. You are one. Guru Brahma, you see, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara, Guru Eva, sometimes they sing it. Guru Eva Param Brahma. You are the one supreme Brahman. Can't be put more directly in English. Guru Eva Param Brahma. Guru teacher is one. Eva is supreme Param Guru, is the supreme Guru. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Therefore I bow down to you. And I need to do that outwardly here too. Sri Ramakrishna said, that's the one time when man is truly humble, when his head is below his heart. And that's when he bows before the altar. See? Your head goes below your heart, right? So our founder, Lexington, used to say, do a 16-point pranam every time you come in front of a holy person or an altar. See? Feet, knees, hip bones, chest, shoulders, nose, elbows, hands. See? Pranam. Or as Swami Vivekananda said to us when he was here, down on your face before him, down flat, prostrate before him. Mankind as God. You'll never find any other God here but man. You're not going to find it in the animals, the insects, and the plants. They came out of man's mind. So down on your knees before him, he said. You know how it's sung, right? A Chandala. A beautiful hymn by Swami Vivekananda. Naradeva Deva, Jaya Jaya Naradeva. That's how the great mantra goes. Another beautiful song or hymn that Swami Vivekananda wrote. Now, you see as we're turning the corner here to psychic prana, conduct worship begins to come up in this chart, right? So we're trying to keep two charts in their orders of things together. Comprehensive, you see. Now she starts talking about japa the mantra. So you've been able to get a mantra, select a mantra, right? So she says here about japa of a mantra, know its meaning. Okay, so about 80% of people who are looking for mantra just disappeared into the woodwork. They ran away screaming. Because they all took mantras from, maybe several mantras from several different spurious gurus. Why were they spurious? Because they didn't make them understand the meaning. Or maybe they didn't know the meaning themselves. I was with Kalu Rinpoche once. He had some teenagers there. It was in a stupa on Maui. Helicopter came down out of the sky, Kalu Rinpoche got out. Just like the gods coming from aerial planes from a different loka. He walked up to this very isolated stupa, and there was myself, our founder Lexiksen, his children, some of their friends. We went in this little broken down kind of barn place with Kalu Rinpoche and about 8 of us, sat down. He started talking to us. Lexiksen stood up and said, "Will you give my children mantra diksha? Right now." That was the way Lex was. Kalu Rinpoche was friendly to the idea, so he gave them initiation. And told them, now you have the mantra to Divine Mother, Tara. Now go home to New York. Go back to New York, go to school, do what you're doing. If your life gets worse, then know that is a good sign because the mantra's working. That's what he told him. If it just stays the same, no problem. Just go on with what you're doing. Keep saying the mantra. Now, another person came to Kalu Rinpoche once, and I was there. I was in a group on Maui again of a bunch of people. And he said, "Will you give me mantra?" And Kalu Rinpoche said, "Well, have you ever been initiated before?" This was a grown man. And the man said, "Yes, I got a mantra from TM." And then Kalu Rinpoche said, "Do you know the meaning of it?" "No, it actually doesn't make sense. I don't know what the meaning is." And Kalu Rinpoche said, "Well, I can't give you initiation then. You go back to that teacher who gave you the mantra and make him tell you what the meaning of it is. And if there's no meaning, then come back to me and I'll give you a mantra with meaning." So this is a story in my own life, out of my own experience, about the need to know the meaning of these Sanskrit words. I mean, I just said samadhi. I've been talking about shuddha, purification. I've been talking about sadhana, spiritual discipline. I've been talking about samskaras, mental impressions. We don't have words in English for a lot of these things that, we could say complex. See, a mental complex. And then we'd go towards Jung and Freud and Western psychology, and it would evolve maybe one lifetime. But no, when you say samskara, you're talking about those mental impressions from previous lifetimes that brought you to this lifetime. Something had to bring you here. You can trace your samskaras back. This is why karmas are old and karmas are new, right? As we looked at. You had new karmas that you got rid of pretty quick because you stopped doing negative actions when you got the teachings. But you have old karmas that are still waiting, that you didn't get to yet, that need to be taken up when they arise in your sadhana, in your meditation, inside of you. Those need to be dealt with still, That's part of the purification process. So, know the meaning of the mantra. Somebody asked me, "Can I take Om?" In fact, somebody asked Vivekananda that. He said, yes. That's actually, if you don't have an Ishtam yet, maybe you're not that taken with God with form, too bad for you. You're missing out a lot of beauty, God with form. You need friend in high places, as I say. But if you don't have that penchant right now, then Om will be a very profound mantra for you. But it won't work if you don't know the meaning. What is the meaning of Om? How is it spelled? A-U-M. You'll want to give up the O-M spelling for now. That's shorthand. You see. AUM is the real spelling of it, all capitalized. A stands for, U stands for, M stands for deep sleep. So at least one meaning for the word Om is waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. The three states of man's consciousness. Do you deny that they're there? You might deny that they have any significance, but you cannot deny that they're there. You go through them every night. Another meaning of Om is Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara. A is Brahma, Lord Brahma. U is Lord Vishnu. M is Lord Shiva. Yeah. So that's another meaning for Om. Now ponder these meanings. So in that way, Om is the best mantra in the world, in a sense. Look how rich it is. And I haven't even given you the 12 other Triputis I know about Om. I just gave you the first two, you see. This is how powerful it is, but you need to spend time with Om inside of your head. You can't just repeat it like a parrot or repeat it without knowing the meaning, because that's not going to take you deep. No, these are teachings of the Divine Mother of the Universe. She has come to elucidate. She has come to awaken our mind to things that we should have known long ago, things that we should have been taught by authentic teachers, like Vivekananda when he came here in 1893. He would never let you get away with not knowing the meaning of a thing. Just give you a mantra and send you off, you see, shuffling. That wouldn't happen. Repeat it with intensity. That's the next. We're going to make it just that far today, and next week we'll take up these two in accordance with the rest of this chart. So repeat it with intensity. Beautiful teaching of Sri Ramakrishna used to give. It says, people say, how do I begin the path? Yearning was the go-to word. You must yearn for God. What does that mean, Master? You cry thousands of tears all the time for wife, family, wealth, and its loss. But you haven't cried one tear for God yet. One sincere tear rolling down your cheek for divine reality, for your true nature, for freedom, for love, for higher wisdom, for higher intelligence, for Christ, for Buddha, for Ramakrishna. That's all God, you see. Can you cry one sincere tear for one of those things? If you do, then you have yearning. Finally, you know what yearning, ultimately for freedom, is all about. See? And you're on your way. You're launched on your spiritual path. That's how Sri Ramakrishna would answer that very difficult question. How do I begin? The way they put that in Bengal at the time was, "What is the way, sir?" You see, like, you read the Gospel of Ramakrishna, and at least in the first few chapters, you'll find Hindu men coming up and say, "What is the way, sir? What is the way, sir? What is the way, sir?" And this is how he would answer it. Yearn for God. Cry a tear for God. So repeat it with intensity is where I'm coming from with that. See, and just repeat it as if, like, somebody wrote me the other day and said, "What is the Chit Shakti?" I wrote back and I said, "Do not put it that way. Don't call it, quote, the Chit Shakti. Chit Shakti is the Divine Mother. She's not a thing. What is the Chit Shakti?" No. See, Chit Shakti is the Divine Mother of the universe. She's the primordial goddess. She's infused with consciousness. She's the mother of intelligence. She's your very being. She put the Atman in you and maintains it there. Not the Chit Shakti. See? Well, it's like Holy Mother talking about Brahman. See? She said, you can't talk about divine reality like you talk about fish and greens as you barter at the marketplace. See? Oh, give me a little of that Brahman, that Brahman. It's not going to work, you see. You have to have intensity. And I'll say to you, intensity is one of the favorite 2 words that our founder of SRV, this association that's coming to you live right now, used. One of his 2 favorite words. One of them was intensity, the other one was clarity. So whenever he'd call me up, he'd say, let's go meet for Swamiji's Mahasamadhi or for Durga Puja at Swami Sheshananda's in Portland, Oregon, at his ashram, and let's get some intensity and some clarity. That's what he would always say. That's what he wanted out of your spiritual life, you see. Get clear and then intensify. As if you don't get clear and you intensify, then you've got troubles. You've got intense troubles.
That's right.
So make sure that clarity, and what's the word for that we used today 4 times? Prasadam. Clarity of food, clarity of mind, clarity of mood, and clarity of spirit. That chart we had 2 weeks ago. The 4 kinds of prasad. So this has been a little bit about the first half of this chart. And we'll go on looking at some of these other moonlight teachings. I also have the Rebi chart, which I'll bring next week, which is Zen Buddhists' Moons and Flowers of Lord Buddha's Teachings, it's called. So that has a nice correlation with this. If we have time, we'll get to that. But we have turned the corner now, I officially declare, that we have actually made it as far as conduct some worship with these in tow. So your psychic prana is now awake and flowing, okay? So when you dream about this tonight, remember to tell yourself, that's what I learned at class yesterday, or earlier this afternoon, you see. And who was it that taught me that? Babaji taught me that. And it was Ramakrishna's auspice that we were operating under. Connected, you see. So now I also declare your psychic prana is awake. Now we want to be fully aware of it and how it courses through the marvelous human body-mind mechanism, as our founder Lex Hixon used to say. How it courses through the marvelous human body-mind mechanism. This is a precious thing we've been given. In fact, let's end with that quote. Those who have come to the Master and I have not assembled for fun. They know how fortunate they are in getting a human birth. Sri Sharda Devi said that in the early 1900s. So we are having fun still. I'm smiling, I'm not morose. This is all exciting, very exhilarating. The Dharma is where we are focusing on in these classes so that Dharma can lead to sadhana and actual practice of the Dharma, and sadhana can lead to freedom. So these are connections we're making, we'll continue to make for as long as we have prana in our lungs. Not only to breathe, but to speak, you see, because the prana has inward wisdom, you see. It'll take you to the lands of wisdom. It'll also enable you to speak it outwardly for the good of everyone here and all human beings, for the highest good of all sentient souls, as they say. So here, let's end with a chant in Sanskrit and English. Om Tat Snayo, Om Tat Snayo Ravrini Mahe, Gatong Yagyaya Gatong Ye Nupataye, Daivi Swastarastu Naha, Swastir Manusebhyaha, Urdvam Jigatu Besajam, Samnavastu Dvipade Samchatushpate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May we make a complete offering into the Great Self. May we always revere the Lord and Mother of all sacrifices. May divine blessings be upon us. May peace be unto the entire human race. May healing, well-being, and prosperity then also abide among us. Om, peace, peace, peace. May peace be unto us, may peace be unto all. Om Hari Om.
Om Aim Hrim Shrim Klim Krim Devi Mahadevi Paramam Shrimad Devi Bhagavatam Shivam Shantam Sundaram. Om Aim Hrim Shrim Klim Krim Devi Mahadevi Namo. Om Aim Hrim Shrim Klim Krim Devi Mahadevi Namo. Humbly offered with all excellent and heartfelt reverence to the Supreme Mother of the Universe, these 108 names of the Goddess listed in the Srimad Devi Bhagavatam, the quintessential scripture of the Wisdom Mother path, convey her blessings of abiding peace, awesome wonder, and everlasting auspiciousness upon whomever chants them with pure devotion. Nama Om.